Welcome to Shamanism 111F, Becoming Powerful. So first, let's outline now in this final of the 6th parts, the rules for power. These are in no particular order. Some of these we have gone through and a few of them we have left to outline. Everything follows the path of power. Power is neutral. There's always a price to power, a sacrifice, in fact. Power rests upon intention and attention in the present moment. Power manifests through 4 aspects: breath, light, sound, and intent. Power must be balanced. The power path is the path with heart. The smaller the degree of separation, the greater the power is available. The path of power is sourced in 4 things: inspiration, simplicity, exchange, and conception. And power can be stalked, hunted, and won. So let's talk about ways of gaining power. So we can go to powerful places in nature, we can be with powerful people, we can practice clear communication and truthfulness, we can maintain silence. We can do power gaining exercises like Tai Chi and Qigong and yoga. We can develop clear intent. We can create strong mental focus. We can work with our imagination. We can be adaptable and flexible. We can observe gratitude. We can develop harmony between our masculine and our feminine parts or sides. And we can be of service. So let's talk about hunting power. Because we are natural predators and hunters, and we can use the principles of hunting to effectively eliminate unwanted behaviors and attitudes in ourselves. We can also use hunting as a metaphor for understanding how to show up in a more powerful way. Because in nature, there are prey and there are predators. And so prey graze. They work all the time. They eat and eat and eat, right? They follow predictable patterns, habitual patterns. And so predators stalk. Stalking means to closely observe without judgment, becoming clear on certain habits and patterns of behavior. You see, prey become caught by their own habitual patterns and predictable behavior, because the more predictable your routines are, the more of a victim you become and the less power you have. So to do a successful hunt, it depends on exact timing, learning these habitual patterns, following these predictable behaviors so that we know the point of weakness and the time to strike. And when the time has come for action, the predator puts everything into its charge. There's no hesitation, no ambivalence, no holding back. So we can allow these rules of predation to apply for the parasites that live within. Teach yourself to become a predator to all negative behavior and ways of thinking that create powerlessness inside yourself. And then we can look at prey and different types of prey. Prey behavior, victim behavior. So first, self-destructive behaviors, addictions, erratic behavior, violence, abuse, reckless driving, doing drugs, any kind of criminal activity. Greed. Greed is based on fear of lack and scarcity. And this results in us over-consuming food or drink or hoarding, grabbing, stealing, depriving others, being selfish, using people, and cheating. Self-deprecation is a fear of inadequacy, to put ourselves down, to be afraid of trying. We lack assertiveness, we apologize excessively, we become invisible. We have shallow breathing and we underestimate our own abilities. We become depressed. We don't even want to try. Then arrogance is the fear of being vulnerable. We hide our mistakes. We brag. We push people away. We avoid intimacy and we overestimate our own abilities. We're unable to apologize. We inflate. We exaggerate. We crave excessive attention. We have a sense of superiority and we want special treatment. Impatience is the fear of running out of time. Again, a scarcity. Rushing around, always being late, interrupting, being intolerant or impulsive, running over others, being full of expectations, forcing, living in chaos and disorganization, being unwilling to wait and observe, because waiting and observing are predator skills. Victimization or martyrdom is the fear of being trapped by people or circumstance. It's a deep fear of powerlessness. We whine, we have misdirected complaining, we become resentful, we assign blame, we do backbiting or backstabbing, we look for vengeance and revenge, we become argumentative, we have self-pity, we disrespect others' boundaries than our own, so we create emotional suffering and we fail to take responsibility for ourselves. Final type of prey is stubborn, destructive behaviors that are based on fear of losing independence, the fear of loss or change. And this is a real pattern of inflexibility, being inattentive, being stuck in the past, being argumentative, having a lot of resistance, being sullen, being aloof, passive aggressive and rigid behaviors. So then let's look at the requirements of being a successful predator. No self-pity. Because self-pity is a form of self-importance which a stalker, a hunter, cannot afford. Power comes when we eliminate self-pity and self-importance. And then intuition goes beyond intellect and reasoning. Intuition knows what's beyond rationality and is accessed through our second attention, through our second sight, by awareness of our own inner feelings. This is a source of great power, and it shows you when to do what. If you doubt your intuition and you refuse to act when your intuition tells you, you will never be very powerful. Patience and willingness to wait is the hunter's best friend. Patience will reveal the time to act, and timing in the game is everything. Humility, the ability to laugh at yourself no matter what happened, fail or loss. We can be unattached to the desire to be center of attention, to have our ego massaged, or to be publicly praised. When you realize that you could have failed, finding gratitude to spirit and all of those who made your success possible means that you stay humble. Then to make no assumptions, because each situation is brand new, and when you understand that, you will miss nothing. Each prey is different. Don't take anything for granted. Don't assume. Taking full responsibility means that pointing fingers and blaming is a waste of energy and power, and that includes blaming yourself. Last, detachment, because a predator cannot afford to be sentimental. When a stalker observes that a particular attitude or behavior causes energy loss, we ruthlessly cut it out. There can be no attachment to the behavior. If an attachment to an emotion or idea results in a loss of power, we must detach from it and eliminate it, no matter what fear arises with the thought of leaving it behind. Next, how to hunt. Choose your hunting ground, because only a fool hunts in any situation. You have to choose where and when. Choose your hunting ground. If you let your prey dictate the battlefield, it's got an unfair advantage and it might win, which means you'll lose. Eliminate the non-essentials. Success of the hunt depends on your ability to focus and concentrate. Eliminate all the non-essentials. Commitment and determination. When your life is at stake, you commit all of your power. And this is the proper way to commit to a task with absolute intention. As a hunter, you must be prepared to die. This is an advantage because it ensures that you will operate at peak performance, completely at attention, observant of everything, and fully in charge. The wise hunter notices the strengths and the weaknesses of its prey. We observe. We integrate after our observation. We sense when the time is right. There's this moment, this brief but extraordinarily complex moment where this rapid integral assessment is so deep it bypasses conscious awareness. It results in the appearance that the hunter is doing nothing but crouching down with intensity and anticipation. But this moment of integration is the moment when everything comes together like a laser in focus. And then we attack with lightning speed, sudden, decisive, and maximum force. We don't haste from impatience, no. It's true timeliness based on knowledge, experience, and careful calculation. Speed is not enough. We have to use our power and our mass to take the prey down. We can't be too tired. We need to have our full power in the moment. So if you don't relax, you will not succeed. The secret to surviving is to conserve energy when you can. When you're not engaged in an all-out attack, rest. Tigers sleep 80% of their day, which they need to regain the strength and energy for the hunt. If you don't reproach yourself or blame yourself, just observe something went wrong, learn from it and apply it. Don't carry it around, it will make you tired. When you relax, fully relax, completely surrender to rejuvenating your energy. Because when you're in stress mode or you're ruminating about the past, you're depleting your energy. And too much stress is a loss of power. So, timing. If learning and change are our true intent, then going at a slower, more demanding and more deliberate pace is required. We have to value the struggle over the prescription. We have to value questions over answers, tension over comfort, and capacities over needs and deficiencies. We have to stay focused. When we can act from a position of power, we are paying attention, and timing is everything. To know the right time to go for the next level of power is crucial. When we act at the right time, it is easy and effortless. When the time and the circumstance come together, everything falls into place. Doors open, support comes, enthusiasm, excitement, a sense of accomplishment, acknowledgement, and we get support from others. Those are parts of knowing when you're on time. When you're too early, you're not ready. And when you're not ready, you'll get setbacks. You'll get blocks in the way because it's not the time. You might even feel inner resistance inside of yourself because you're not listening to your truth triad. And when we're too late, well, because we doubt our power, we hide. We think we're not able to do it. We mistrust our intuition. We let our fear rule us. So, relationships from more powerful to less powerful exist throughout the universe, from smallest to largest, from lower to highest. So, to become more powerful, you have 3 ways. First, look around and notice who has more power than you. And I'm not saying go to attack them. I'm saying spend time with them. Invest time with the people who have power. Absorb their light, their energy, and their power. Be inspired by them. The second is nature. Nature is clearly more powerful than you are because nature can exist without you, but you can't exist without nature, even though we're really trying, right? If we ignore this fact, we deny ourselves access to one of the most powerful sources of energy, and this is why shamans spend a lot of time in nature. We greet the morning sun, we absorb the noon sun, we love to witness the sunset, we bathe in the moon and the starlights, we climb trees, we sit on rocks, we receive the power of waterfalls, we walk in a forest. Third, to become more powerful, understand that the physical world depends on the spirit realms. The spirit realms can exist without this world. So people who refuse or don't know how to look inside themselves are inclined to use external power inappropriately, and this will eventually bring terrible consequences. If you can go inward, go into the spirit realms, you can bring what you gather there into this reality and manifest abundance easily. Then power comes from 4 sources: inspiration, simplicity, exchange, and conception. No matter where you are or how you feel, you have access to infinite resources and power. The ability to tap into a particular source of power requires changing your thinking and limited perceptions so you can recognize and then be willing and able to do what it takes to access the power, including changing your channel. The universe is one vast field of power, an ocean of light, the primary source of all energy. This light creates structures and specific fields, some visible and others invisible to the human eye. Recognizing the limitlessness of knowledge in the universe, of our modern science, our modern science has only decoded a tiny fraction of what is available. Shamans understand that rather than one fixed reality, there are many dimensions that overlap and coexist in the same space. Frequencies of light that create dimensions that we can tune in, like TV channels. Most of humanity is tuned into one frequency or one channel, which limits their experience of life. When we can find solutions, have experiences, and access powers available in other frequencies, we can bring them back here. We can go for a hunt in the spirit realm and bring them back. So shamans have to free ourselves from this collective one-dimensional focus so that we can access other frequencies and gain more power. In other realities, we will find answers to our questions, and we'll find resources and allies that are not available in the mundane, ordinary reality. So let's talk about these 4 sources. First, inspiration. Shamans lift themselves up out of confusion, chaos, dysfunction, and powerlessness to discover insight, knowledge, and power. We lift ourselves up so that we can help others rise up and gain access to higher power. When we don't have inspiration, we feel depressed, lethargy. We have the lack of motivation. We don't have vision. We feel powerless. And so sources of inspiration can be beauty, truth, courage, humor, potential, completion, and change. The second source of power is simplicity, because when things become too complicated, the result is always a loss of power, not a gain. And Jesus said, to enter the kingdom of heaven, you must become like little children. And this is hard because we're living in a more and more increasingly complex world. And so coming back to simplicity, to see the world like you did when you were a child, means no attachments, no expectations, no prejudgmental attitudes. And so simplicity is found in silence, in focus, in clarity, in innocence, in presence, in decision, and in death, because death means no attachment, to take nothing with you. The third source of power is exchange. Exchange, like an action that has a swap function, and this is most easily represented by relationships, whether it's a partnership, a teacher-student relationship, a supportive friendship, or even with our enemies. When we don't exchange energy and power, we will be in a dark, lonely, powerless place, full of despair, inertia, and withdrawal. And so ways to source exchange is to be in service, to be working in the right way, to be part of power groups, to be in relationship and give attention, acknowledgement, generosity, trust, vulnerability, love, and expression in exchange. The fourth source of power is conception, because when we're conceived, or when we conceive of an idea, there's a blinding sort of flash, a big bang, if you will, of light that becomes our foundation. This is the bank of power that we have to work with as we develop ourselves or our ideas. And some ideas, some people start with more and some with less, depending on the circumstance of the conception. There's always plenty to go around. Even the least powerful conception will create more energy than can ever be used. But it's how you use your power that matters. Some people will waste their power through addictions, resentment, victimization, arrogance, impatience, and greed. And some try to hold on to it, just holding it, and become rigid that way. And others put their power into work. They create foundations of power. They invest it wisely so that they can continue to operate through life. And power is neutral. It's how you manage your power that determines these consequences. Your perceptions determine your experience. If you enjoy it or hate it, you feel in charge of it and its effects or how you use it. The more you resist power, whether it's your own power or the power of nature, the greater changes, or the greater your resistance, the more negative expressions you'll receive of it. For example, if somebody's afraid of their own power, they'll have nightmares, or other people might come up and say things to them. If we perceive power negatively and we resist it in other people, we'll have backlash. If we resist power in nature, like in the rain, in the wind, or in the heat, we will suffer a lot more than if we can open up to receive the power of the nature phenomena. If you desperately want power, it's a form of resistance, because when you want something, it means that you fear that you don't have it or that you won't have it, meaning that you're in resistance, you're not neutral. When you resist, you give power to the thing you resist. You create the illusion then that you are powerless to it. When you can be with the current conditions and just acknowledge them, you pave the way for changing conditions and the arrivals of new levels of power. And the path of power is expensive. There's always a price to pay for real power. How do we bid for power? Well, you must be completely ready. You must be able to identify when you really are truly ready. You must be able to adapt and learn the new rules of this new level of the game. You must be prepared psychologically, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. You must have the knowledge, experience, and perseverance that you need for the next step. You must understand the true nature of the risks involved. When you bid for power, you must be detached from the outcome. You must commit completely and act without hesitation. You may bid for power anytime and as often as you wish, and you'll be tested to see if you're ready and deserving. A bid for power is basically a personal decision to step up, to take on a challenge, to speak your truth. It's a risk, it's a stretch, it's also exciting. The game of life has infinite opportunities for you to gain power, and you'll have chances on a daily basis if you step up to them. The most important thing to understand about bidding for power is that the bid must come from within yourself. If you're following someone else's agenda, being manipulated or coerced, you're not establishing a legitimate bid for power, and it will be ineffective. These questions might seem simple and the answers might seem obvious, but the world is increasingly complex, and it's easy to lose our perspective and clarity when we're in it. It's easy to be a fool and create foolish results. If you're not ready, bidding for power will produce negative and humiliating consequences, and you're most likely to fall on your face. Being truly ready doesn't mean that you're perfect or that you're free from fear. Being truly ready means that you will commit like a tiger on the chase, that you will see it through regardless of where it takes you. You must be physically capable for undergoing the stress that's accompanied with a bid for power. A sick tiger will not hunt successfully. You must be adaptable. You have to develop an awareness of yourself to the degree that you're spiritually prepared for the consequences of winning and losing. Once you commit, you have to stick to it. Perseverance will lead to knowledge and experience. You must understand the risks, and this is what predators always do. They calculate the risk before they go into attack. You cannot bid from a place of ego. You have to be detached from the outcome. You must be prepared to bid again and again until you succeed. If your ego is invested and it's demanding that you do it now or else, you're asking for trouble. You can't bid as a test for yourself to see, to use the bid to find out if you're smart or attractive or intelligent or creative enough. When a tiger hunts, it's not trying to prove anything. It's just going for the kill. And neither should you. When you're ready, act. Be like the tiger, leaping for the kill. Be fully committed without hesitation. The path of power is expensive. There's always a price to pay, and this is where we need to talk about sacrifice. Because if you want to become a tiger, you have to sacrifice being a cub. If you want to grow into a lotus flower, you have to sacrifice being a seed. And often the true sacrifice is hidden and mysterious, and we find out later, just like becoming a tiger is a process and becoming a lotus flower, it takes time. Becoming truly powerful is never going to be a comfortable process because you have to leave your comfort zone. Successful bids for power are always acknowledged by an initiation of some form. We can have inner initiations that really bring us face to face with our deepest fears. Like I recently had a year of silence and solitude, and that was an initiation to depth for me. And then we can have outer initiations like societal rights, graduations, licenses, getting promotions, privileges. And when we talk about this sort of price of power, we need to talk about this as well, because a lot of humans seem to think that we can get something for nothing. And people fail to look beyond their immediate goal, thinking that, getting money or fame or a lover will bring relief from suffering and bring lasting happiness, and fail to notice the price tag. The game of power is absolutely ruthless. When you play with outer power without developing inner power, you're creating a blueprint for disaster. And when we brag about our achievements too soon, we can have negative consequences, and this has been the downfall for many, many, many power players. In shamanic realms, the consequences for failure can be extreme, and that's why it's so important to be truly ready. Here's another side note as well when it comes to power and the price of power. If you come across a person who has been bound or in any way worked on by another shaman, if you are then asked to undo the work or even the curse of someone else who's more powerful than you, this can be a great danger, not just to you, but to the people you love. So proceed with caution. And again, just be aware of your own power if you take on a client like this. I recently had a client this week, in fact, as I'm recording, who had a 5-year relationship with a succubus. And so I had to proceed with a lot of caution doing the soul retrieval as well, because his soul was being held by the succubus, not to leave, traces of myself behind, so that the succubus can come for me next, for example. So let's talk about tests and initiations, because usually we have a deep personal recognition that happens when we have inner and outer tests. There's often no visible indication that the test has been passed and the initiation happened. It's something that we know inside of ourselves. You know that you're at a test of power when inexplicable obstacles appear. You might feel out of control and frustrated that you're not able to change or control the events. You might meet an antagonist, an enemy who really makes your life more difficult. But also, a true power test will always come with a secret ally or a helper. And it's advisable when they come to not refuse them or question their help. They're there for a reason. True initiations will often test you to your absolute limit, bringing your ego to its knees to find out what you're made of. And you will have the opportunity during these tests to bring up every skill and resource that you've gathered so far. Part of the test is that you will doubt the effectiveness of what you know what to do. And the proof that you pass the test and receive the initiation is then your ability to take on new responsibilities and handle more power more effectively. Again, it might not be something that other people can see right away, but over time they'll start to notice, because you will manifest in a different way. So, working with power, what do you need to succeed? Commitment. Quality of sacrifice. And sacrifice is really hard for people who are addicted to comfort and instant gratification to understand, because you have to sacrifice your current level of comfort, your preconceived ideas, and your current attitudes. Also, often sacrifice includes renouncing for a time the ability to see yourself as a competent, knowledgeable, productive, and successful individual. Again, going back to my recent test of really going into the darkness and spending a year in silence and solitude, I was really questioning, and people were reaching out to me asking for my help and my support, and I just had this overpowering sense of how can I help anybody, because I'm not even able to help myself right now. Really breaking the ego into pieces, right? Perseverance, of course, you can't go anywhere without persevering when it gets hard. And faith. Faith is essential. You can't go through any initiation or test without faith. This is the end of Shamanism 111. There's quite a few activities and exercises after each of these videos that I hope you've done. If you haven't done them, please go back and do them. That will cement and integrate this work for yourself into your body. And ultimately, your body is the container for your power. Much, 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 much more than just receiving information. You need to embody the information to make it into knowledge, and then put it into practice for it to become wisdom. Thank you again for choosing to invest your time and attention with me.